Yeah,
It's
we'll see.
literally anyone. It's anyone's game minus Nick right now.
Poor Nick, man. I don't know why this keeps happening to him. It's
He probably doesn't listen to this podcast anymore, you know.
yeah, it could be he's not tuning in, or I mean, look at the
I think
draw
he
with like
is.
Christian McCaffrey, you know, going
Yeah.
down and stuff. But
Kick off to the game now. Darin and Johnny here. Wow. Talking NFL, no doubt. Breakdowns and the standout. Big plays and the touchdowns. Huddled in the background. Each week we break it down. Our podcast is the town.
right, you know, it's there's $500 on the table right here, so you know, figure time well spent, right?
Well, one day I want the league to be like something crazy, like $1,000 buy-in, and you could legitimately just cash out if you win.
Wait,
Only the
did you
most-
win? Or when
Well,
you
I'm saying
win?
like, yeah, it's like if you had like $1,000 buy-in, you know, you get your money back if you place third, you get like a few grand on second, and then you make, you know, I don't know, $5,000 in first place.
The problem with that is when
$6,000.
you're in like Nick's position and you're 0-5 or whatever, you know, after these first couple weeks, it's like, you know,
Well,
that-
he's the only one. In
there's
the
nothing
league
left.
right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could technically, if he won out from here, like he nearly
Yeah.
did a roster swap.
Not totally out of it yet. True.
Like, I don't know if you guys saw the waiver, but you know, Nick nearly did an entire roster swap. So
He was saving his waiver money up to now.
I know,
know.
maybe he should have pulled the trigger on that a little sooner. You know, that's a takeaway potentially. I'm trying to find the games from last week. Oh, here we go, week 7.
But now Nick's just gonna be like a playoff killer. You're just gonna
yeah, true. Watch, he wins his last 5 games against, you know, playoff teams or something like
Yeah.
that. Just like
just
Yeah.
enough. Because I mean, odd to have it, it's like he probably won't just lose all the way to the bottom of the league punishment. I
Yeah,
bet
well,
somebody
that's
else will lose.
That's a nice thing about the playoff at the end, is just because if he has like the worst record doesn't mean that he's definitely going to get the punishment in the end. But yeah, let's talk about you, Josh. Where do you want to start at, Darin? You want to start with Josh?
Well, yeah. Let's do an intro with Josh. I mean, we'll kick off with him because he is actually kind of boomeranged back around. I
That's only one win. What?
mean, what's that?
It's only one win. My team could fall apart this week. Who knows?
Well, yeah, you were struggling, but you came out with 160 points. Like, you don't fall into that, you know.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Okay,
you've
so
been making
yeah.
some moves.
You went
I mean, I
from
made
9th. You were
some
9th,
shifts,
I think,
but-
when the week started. You were in the 9th place. Now you're 7th, but with another win this week, you could be all the way up at like 4th potentially. You know.
Yeah.
And the reason
Yeah,
I say boomerang.
last season I was kind of in the middle of the pack most of the season, but then I ended up finishing in 3rd place. So
it's
yeah, we'll see.
literally anyone. It's anyone's game minus Nick right now.
Poor Nick, man. I don't know why this keeps happening to him. It's
He probably doesn't listen to this podcast anymore, you know.
yeah, it could be he's not tuning in, or I mean, look at the
I think
draw
he
with like
is.
Christian McCaffrey, you know, going
Yeah.
down and stuff. But
Well, the reality is his first overall pick was McCaffrey, and then Devontae Adams just hasn't done squat, which was his second pick, I think. That was
and he still has him. Does he still have Devontae?
yeah, and Devontae
Okay.
just got picked up by the Jets. in
Yeah, so
exchange
that
for like a 3rd round draft pick or something.
I mean, you'd expect that his numbers would be better, but you know, it's the Jets, so you never
Yeah,
can be too sure.
I know.
That's an interesting one.
They're running out of excuses over there. It's you know, they swapped coaches.
Yeah, fire the coach.
They've had a number of like, you know, solid receivers, but Aaron Rodgers, it's like this is kind of his last hope to turn it around. Otherwise, his head's on the chopping block. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
he's trying to convince him at this point that he should get another year. You know, like otherwise, this is it. You know, it's
Yeah. And I mean, what,
retirement in ayahuasca.
he's
going
like
forward.
40 something at this point too. But okay,
yeah.
why
You
don't,
want to go through the
we jump
games from
in-
last weekend?
Or let's do the report real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, we got manager of the week was Kevin, right? Let's see.
That's scary because Kevin, I mean, you know, he had Cooper Kupp and AJ Brown out for a long time, AJ Brown just made his appearance for the first week last week, and then Cooper Kupp, I think, does he come back this week or next week?
Darren, you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll pop it on.
So Kevin had the biggest blowout against Austin, but no, actually, best team was you, Josh. You know,
Yeah,
so we'll have to
best
get into
manager.
that. Yeah, 160.
Wait,
yeah.
who was the worst manager of the week, Johnny?
I don't know why it keeps happening to you, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Not
you.
even. Oh,
It
well,
says you, Johnny.
does it have me? Worst manager? Where's it say? Oh, least efficient. Okay, gotcha. Right. Yeah. Okay, I was looking at the worst team. Okay, worst team, least efficient. Yeah, I know. I think that's where my team's at right now. I'm kind of
There it is,
gambling
yeah.
with who to
Best manager,
start.
worst manager, biggest blowout.
Yeah.
Johnny's.
I don't
Johnny,
have like clarity where like half my team's injured or half my team's on the bye or whatever. Like, for the most part, everybody was ready to start and except for Jefferson. And I think I picked the wrong guys. Although it probably wasn't going to make a difference. I might have just.
Well, yeah, you had a lot of
lost my
buys this
20.
last week, Johnny. So I felt better going into it because of that, because some of your top players were out,
Right.
That's where once the buys start happening, it's anybody's game, because people don't have their best players.
That's true. You're missing a quarterback or your top receiver or something like that. Yeah.
But Josh, with your score though, I mean, a lot of your guys performed well above.
Yeah,
we'll jump into this later.
I wasn't catching up no matter what substitutions I made. But what else do we got? So lowest points in win was Tyler, but 130 points that was the lowest points in a win was 130. That's kind of rare, right? Usually there's always somebody winning with 110 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then you and Darin, that was a high score. Yeah, that was a high score shootout right there that Ian took home. You and Ian there, yeah.
And then so Nick low, overachiever obviously Josh, and then let's jump right into the games and kind of break it down. Actually, this waiver wire I want to see. So Nick, he picked up running back. Tyler picked up a running back. Some big numbers being thrown out there.
Yeah.
Nick's got Keenan Allen now too. Okay. He made 3 moves. Lockett.
I mean, just between these 2 picks, Nick spent like $78. And then Josh beat me out here. I should have been more aggressive. I don't think I would have gone more than 11 though. Good pickup for you, Josh.
Darin wouldn't go more than 11. The guy that's been spending $80 and $50 on people.
Not on a kicker.
Johnny, you notice he got a new tight end? He dropped his like $50 tight end.
80. I paid like $80.
You dropped him. Oh my gosh. That's
they have a committee. It's impossible to get points out of them.
Komet. Yeah, he's had 2-3 good games because I had Komet and I dropped him, but then it was maybe they'll figure it out towards the end of the season, but it was very inconsistent. But man,
Juju Smith, but historically this guy, I just feel like, he had one big game, but outside of that.
Yeah. So far this year.
Start with Mark Andrews, Darin?
What's that? I dropped Andrews because he's just lazy.
You just bailed on the whole Baltimore Ravens tight end room?
They have 3 tight ends. Even Harbaugh was telling people advising fantasy managers to not depend on him. It's like there's nothing there. So hopefully Philip's not watching the intro because I hope he carries the dead weight.
The dead weight. I mean, he could pop. That's the thing. There's gonna be weeks he could pop, and then weeks, you're gonna get nothing because Lamar's gonna run a lot. And they've got a lot of other offensive weapons. But I was last weekend when we didn't do the pod, one of the things I wanted to say was, Darin definitely continues his streak of overpaying for players and overbidding people by 3x, 4x.
I know. I don't know how much it'll bite me in the butt, as the season gets late. Do
you even have 2 pennies to rub together at this point? Like, what do you got? I mean,
$30.
$30, bro. I mean, that can't even get you
another
tight end. Feed your family at Chick-fil-A.
I know it's. I feel like I have a really good squad, and if there's anything I've learned in fantasy, it's that or past this time, there's going to be one player that pops off, maybe 2 for the rest of the season. But everybody else, it's like everything's been picked through. The only thing that really changes at this point is if a really big all-star running back gets injured, and there's someone like Jordan Mason backing them up that takes all that, the handcuff that nobody happened to have on their roster. So
yeah,
I think all the big spending happens like week 1 through 4, really. And
not
then,
as much at the end. Yeah.
And then really starts to dovetail off past that. And so, it's like reverse algorithmic curve as we go into the later weeks. But yeah, let's jump into the games. I think Johnny.
All right.
Let me make sure I'm on the right page here. Week 6.
Week 6,
talk about our game first.
Yeah, because this. So just for context, Josh, you were 2-3 at this point prior to this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but that was like losing 2 games straight, right?
Yeah, where I don't even think I put up 100 points the last 2 weeks, maybe one.
Yeah, so after
so you were 2-1. Okay.
Yeah, so he was 2-1, and then or whatever it was.
Last week I did put up 129, but the 2 weeks before that I put up 89 and 94. So
barely even, not even scratching 100.
Yeah, so Tua goes down, his QB, which makes Tyree kind of irrelevant, and everybody just underperforms, and also just like you had a couple bad weeks, which I don't know how much we can really expect from him, but so the point is though is that now Josh is 500 and he's 1 win away from literally being first or last. You win 1, you're up with the top teams. Everybody's in the mix, and so now he's in the mix. He's putting up 160 points. His whole trajectory, maybe this is the turnaround game for him.
Yeah, and they didn't even have Tyreek Hill in there on this game.
No.
I'm like, damn, that was kind of counting on that.
And then Johnny, you're on the other side of that where you're just on the Titanic.
Yeah, bro. My stock is just dovetailing. Absolutely, it's bad at this point. I think it's a little bit of the product of like the Bills haven't played as well, and I've had some Bills players, and then like the Seahawks have lost 3 in a row, and I've had their defense in there. I might need to make, sub a new defense in there. I had the Buccaneers to start the season and ended up, ditching them, but I should have started Josh Allen and Bucky Irving, as over the people I did, but wouldn't have gotten me, over the hump there. I just, my team's still good. Like I'm still putting up 110 plus every week, so I'm still confident I'll make the playoffs, but I'm not riding high like I was, when I was 3-0, man, I was feeling good.
I don't think you can ride out 110. I think you need to be at that 125, 130 mark to really like make sure that you get into win with playoffs or get into the playoffs and then stay in the shot, right? If you can hit that 125, 130 mark, most weeks, it's right on the cusp of a win or loss, I think. And
you should really get that though with your receivers back and Josh Allen starting though.
It's true. I did have, I had Kyron Williams and Jefferson on the bench, and this week I'm hoping to get back on track for sure, but we'll see.
So Josh, thoughts on that? Was that a fluke, or was that kind of what you envisioned for your team, and they're finally doing their thing?
Well, freaking Godwin went off. Like that was.
Yeah, Godwin was a big one. But I picked up Tracy, and he did really well because Singletary's out. So he did well. And then Najee Harris finally did well. So,
so you
they're all doing well the same weekend, luckily, Bowers has been killing it for me at tight end.
He's been good. Even though they've had the backup quarterback in there this week, I think, right? Minshew didn't play, I think, right? And wasn't sure how that was going to go, but I
started Ayuk because Darin told me to, and he put up 5 points. So
that was in comparison to Pierce, which did you start him that game? Okay,
man.
Look, Pierce 0 points, so I had something right.
It was Worthy. Worthy was on a bye.
Right. Well, man, you had a 5-point score and then a 2-point score, and you still ended up with freaking 160 points. I mean, the Jaden Daniels pickup is pretty genius. Like, you didn't pay anything for him, paid nothing for him, and then he's been
It's because he watched
Pretty
that.
solid.
He watched that Amazon series. Because I mean, if you watch
Have you
it,
seen that, Johnny, yet? The
What?
NIL show about
No.
LSU?
I haven't seen that. So
yeah, you
Yeah,
can
it's pretty
tell.
good.
After watching that, I'm like, wow, Jaden Daniels was a baller. I didn't see that much in college, but you know, he was a standout athlete for sure. Well,
Yeah, man, the Commanders are doing well this year too, right? I mean, they have a winning record this year.
Yeah, they're 4-2. Yeah.
Let's jump into the next one. Keep it rolling here. Let's go with Philip and Traco. So Traco and Kevin have just been kind of, you know, you're not hearing a peep out of those guys, but all of a sudden they're in the mix again. And
they are.
Traco 145 points versus, you know, our previously like standout champ Philip.
Man, 2 losses in a row for Phil. You know, that's just like me. You know, I was on my high horse and then, you know, don't get too proud, I guess, right? You know, just gonna knock you right back down. That's but he could have gotten, you know, depending on who he was playing this week, like could have gotten a win potentially.
Yeah, 132. He still had a good, decent week.
And he puts Garrett Wilson on the bench, which, you know, based on previous I don't know. I wonder why he did that. Last week he had 30 points, but this guy had like 3 tight ends on his bench. I don't know what he was in 2 defenses. So I saw he dumped a few people, but
He likes the defense.
I don't know if he was like hoarding them so that others couldn't get them, or if he really just thought those were the best players to have. But in either case, you know, everything looks good here. Ferguson obviously underperformed a bit for him, you know, based on previous trend. So when he really needed it, it sucks. And then Mason, is he now limited? Okay, so
questionable going into this next week here.
I don't know who's backing him up. And then McCaffrey, I think, is
they've
opened. Oh, they haven't opened his window this week. So
yeah,
when they open the window, you get 21 days to see if they'll come back from IR. So if they're not doing it this week, then he'll have next week likely, and then it's within whatever 3 weeks of that. So I don't know. Do you think the Phil train is coming to a slowdown, or is this just a down? I mean, 132.
Yeah, I still think he's in good shape. You know, he had Waddle on the bench, and you know Hawkinson can come back, and Garrett Wilson. I mean, gave Garrett Wilson on the bench. You know that if he would have put, you know, I guess he had to start with tight end, I guess, but you know that could have maybe made up the difference a little bit.
Yeah,
if he swapped him for somebody, I don't know. I don't know who that would be. I guess it would be Jared Reed. I guess had the lowest receiver total.
So he had a 150 max. So if he did everything right, he could have maxed out at 150. Whereas, you know, but Traco, if he did everything right, he could have maxed it at 170. So
yeah,
I don't know. This most weeks is a decent winning score, but people popped off. But let's look at Traco.
Yeah.
I mean, Madison obviously is performing above Kenneth Walker.
His kicker got 17 points.
CJ Stroud's been super consistent. You know, like that's a good QB that you can keep in there, right? You know, week over week. Man, he even had a player go negative, right? Olave.
What is that?
And still ended up with 145 points.
He got hurt.
He must have had a fumble or something.
Oh,
like that.
just like one catch, one fumble lost.
Fumble lost, right? Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what's going on right there, but
Trey McBride, he definitely overperformed there a little bit. Like you look at his numbers, like he's done like 8 points, 5 points, and then he's done like triple digits or double digits twice. It looks like, you know, so he you know kind of overperformed there. But Amon-Ra St. Brown was a little underperforming. So I mean, I think his team's pretty solid. It's good to see that Traco, even though we're not seeing him much on the chat, you know, that he's still setting his lineup and like, you know, looking for a win every week.
Yeah, I mean, he lost his first 2 weeks. 1 week 3 and 4, lost 5, won 6. So he's kind of, I don't know, 3 out of the last 4 games he's won. So he's starting to trend up here. And
then with USC, right? Maybe just talk about his old backyard right now. There's some pressure going on there, I think, a little bit, right? I mean, did did they lose this last weekend? What happened with USC? I'm trying to remember. Like, but they're like 3-4 or sort of 4-3 or something like that, right? At this
Yeah,
point.
I haven't been following super close this year because all my
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, they're 3 because they lost this weekend at Penn State at home. Which
maybe
Penn
he's
State
been
was
doing
ranked, you know, but
he's been doing overtime with the counseling sessions over
it
there.
might be. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so they're 3-3, you know, and this is a little bit of this is Lincoln Riley's third year, you know, so it's like there's definitely some pressure there for sure.
But I've heard nothing but great things about Lincoln Riley. I think that, you know, he knows how to run a program. They're stepping into a new league this year. So my guess is
Yeah,
just
that's true. New
growing
league.
pains, you know, NIL's changed a lot too. So it's probably trying to balance getting the right talent and getting them to work together with a really like challenging league this year.
Right. Yeah, that's
I think
true.
long term, it's like athletes, they want to be in LA, they want to go to USC, they've got the right coaching staff. I think it pans out, but I haven't really tuned in that much this year. Okay, so let's get into Tyler versus Nick. Tyler, he's just talking smack on the chat. He wants his credit.
Yeah, that's
Does
true.
he deserve it? Let's see what this win looked like.
Let me pull it up here.
So 130, the lowest points in a win.
Right. He's fought his way back to 500 though, you know. So got to give him props for that.
And I mean, he beat you, he beat me. I mean, Nick, I don't know how much that's saying about his, you know, kind of long game there. No offense, Nick.
Look at Nick's bench. All Nick's bench is injured. You see that? Questionable.
Yeah, he's kind of holding. I mean, did Sam Darnold,
wow.
you know, has been good for him, but yeah, and then Adams hasn't wanted to play really, right? Because he's trying to leave town or whatever, right? Get traded. I mean, you know, I could see Nick getting his win this week, right? You know, because like he'll have Darnold back. Although Jordan Love played pretty good for him.
Kelsey's picking up a little bit, but he's still a 13th ranked tight end though.
He's getting nothing from the running backs though. I mean, who are these guys? Zach Moss and the Denver running back.
Points,
I mean,
and then 4.6 points. Yeah, if that's your 1 and 2 roster spot, there's plenty of other running backs that at least get you like close to double digits.
Dude, Zach Moss he had one good game at 20 points, another one at 17, but the rest are like not good, you know. And then Williams, he looks like he averages maybe 7 points, 8 points or something like that, I guess, something. So yeah.
Well, Nick picked up Tucker, which I'm not sure where he came out. He came out of nowhere, you know, just
due to injury.
He had 2 attempts before week 6, and this guy just comes out of nowhere, puts up 34 points. But he also was very touchdown dependent. Didn't have that many attempts, but had touchdown receiving, a touchdown running, and that's who Nick literally just picked up. I don't know if that's the right consistent play. It's unless he knows that, like, okay, now like the guy only took 30, you know, a third of the snaps at running back. So I don't know if that's going to really dig him out of the hole in the running back position. I saw he picked up a lot of receivers, Keenan Allen.
Right.
You know, he picked up Lockett, which I regret dropping Lockett. Like Lockett wasn't ranked very high, but he was consistently doing like 10 to 14 points. So really solid pickup with Lockett. Nick, I think that's going to be a receiver you can depend on, and clearly you could put him anywhere. Dude, so once he has Devontae Adams back, and he has Lockett, and Kelsey's not on a bye, and even look at Stevenson. I mean, 21, 17, a couple of bad weeks, 19. Like, he might actually, with Adams going to the Jets, Stevenson is kind of, you know, hitting more than he's missing. Kelsey, then Lockett as well. Like, I think that Nick is going to start taking teams down. And then, obviously, his IR spot with McCaffrey, that could be game-changing. If he can just... If he could just grab a couple wins before McCaffrey gets back, because how many weeks do we have? 14 weeks in the regular season.
Yeah, so this week's gonna be halfway point. We should real quick look at. So next week he plays Phil, and then he's got Traco, and then let's just look at his next 3, right? So Phil, Traco, and then he's got I mean, everyone's going to be like a winning team or better record than his, I guess. But
And then he has Josh.
Josh, it's not loading on my end.
Yeah.
So
it's not going to be easy paved way. I don't know if Nick's just going to be the Grim Reaper for the rest of the season, just like killing dreams out here, for playoff hopes and stuff. But I think that this turns around this next week here. As far as like his point score, I don't know if he's going to get a win on Phil. That would be pretty great because
that'd be 3 losses in a row for Phil, which would be, yeah.
Darren, you don't think he should set his reservation at IHOP yet? Is it too early for that? Or
you know what? I don't think the sleeper is the one that I don't think the guy that's bottom of the barrel, because we saw that last year.
Yeah, that might be right. The bottom of the barrel might be the most motivated to get out of the bracket as soon as possible.
It's like they just have to get lucky once in the losers playoffs.
Yeah, well, it does give you the bye though, so you're automatically in the bottom 4.
Well, you have 3 or how many?
2.
So
two chances to get. Yeah, if you're in the bottom 2, you're just gonna have the 2 chances to get out of the punishment or whatever. Yeah, 2 games. But if you're higher than that, you'd have 3. But
and then let's see, Tyler, is he deserving of the credit that he's been longing for?
Yeah, well, so he had to start Justin Fields this week because Mahomes was on a bye, and then Fields pretty good, but then he's going to get benched this week. And if you guys saw, but Russell Wilson's going to start for Fields on the Sunday night game against the Jets.
Oh, wow.
So they're benching Fields.
But he has Mahomes.
He's played pretty decent.
Wait, Fields looks like he had a pretty solid game last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic, because he's played pretty decent and the team's been winning, but I guess there's been talk about the receivers are kind of frustrated because he's not throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah, never mind. I mean, obviously from a receiver standpoint, they're not getting much. His stats look decent, 2 touchdowns through 145 actually isn't that great. I mean, just fantasy wise, he looks like he scored really well, but yeah, I guess if you're only completing 14 catches and
right. Yeah, and they want to go down the field more, so that's what I think they're bringing in Russ. But I would give Tyler his credit. We should look real quick at who Tyler plays. Right, is he going to continue winning, or is he going to? So he plays Kevin.
Next week he has Kevin, then he has Ian, and then he has Traco. So those are all matchups within reach.
Within reach, where he potentially so he could be, he could be 4 or 5 in. He could be 5-4 after this, or he could be something like that. He could 6-3 might be a stretch, but Tyler's definitely in the mix. Tyler's definitely in the mix.
I'm not sure if he did a big swap last week. So Tyler, I mean you've kind of proven that you can take out top dogs. 130, I think, as far as scores go, it's hit and miss. But I think if your guys are all contributing, I think you've got a shot just as good as anybody else, for these next few weeks coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, Austin and Kevin. So this is interesting. Little background. I'm not going to put his business out there, but Austin was grounded and it didn't have his phone. So.
Whoa! Really juicy. Okay.
So
got caught with a girl, Austin.
Wow.
Sub 100 points, and this is very not Austin like, but I think he was starting guys that were 2 guys that were clearly out were starting. So he didn't even have access to change. I might actually make a request to his parents, hey, oversee his roster updates, Sunday morning.
Well, I'm glad the commissioner didn't do something about that, because that would have been definitely collusion.
Losing is part of his punishment there, Darin.
I know. I literally thought that through. I was like, darn it, this is not good. But hey, I mean, that's kind of the nature of losing, your rights or whatever as you get grounded. So Austin, behave for the sake of the shot at goal here. I mean, that was a very critical moment, but I looked at it and I don't think there's anything he could have done to win this game.
Still lost.
It's a little his team's a little disappointing this year after how he was such a power last year.
I know.
Was top of the league and what made it to the championship game. What happened with him at quarterback? So he drafted Richardson, but now he's kind of moved on to Geno Smith. It's dude, you got no plan there. at quarterback. Like neither of those guys are probably going to make the playoffs. And then
Well, yeah, Gino's been out for the
his
last
running
couple, or
backs,
Richardson, sorry, has been out.
But even when he was playing, it's not like he's a needle mover, really. I don't. So,
And
yeah, I mean,
Marvin
honestly,
Harris got a concussion, right?
yeah, and even so, like Marvin Harris, him and Kyler Murray, it's a rookie. It's just they never haven't. It's not like every game he's been crushing it. Or I just don't really see where he's going to get the points from on his team. I know I've bagged on his team in the past a little bit, but I just don't see where he's going to get the points really to make the playoffs, kind of, unless
a lot of distractions
fits.
senior year of high school.
Yeah, I think so.
Football and
football and those temptations.
Yeah. So Austin, if this is any indication of what's happening off the fantasy gridiron, time to step it up, man.
And good thing YouTube's available at the school library, so you can still watch the pod.
Yeah,
even without your phone.
School library.
Okay, so Kevin, though, this is kind of like,
good job, Kevin.
A
big
shift.
Looking good.
Yeah, big shift in performance.
Well, Derrick Henry's been really doing well lately, right? I mean,
he has. He's been really thriving off, having Lamar there, the threat that they can both run. They've had, I think they got the most rushing yards in the league, the Ravens do. So, and then he's got Swift right on the other side, who's been picking it up.
And he's won 4 straight games now.
Oh yeah, he was 0-2. That's right.
So his first couple games, Ian had 170 points, and you had 140 points. But outside of that, he did have one win over Nick with 104 points. I think he didn't start 2 people or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it was the commissioner gave him a call, and we had a heart to heart. Since then, props to Kevin. I mean, he's coachable. He wants to, be in the league. Just giving him a hard time, but yeah, no, I mean, this is AJ Brown, 23 points. He's got Kittle, who's just been, doing really well all season.
And he's got Kupp on the bench, right? But coming back to him, right?
Yeah. So what's the deal with? And I don't.
He's going to be in Kupp's ear,
hanging on to Corum. Maybe he just thinks this is like a handcuff that's going to go off. Obviously.
Well, it's on. Yeah, he's got the insight. Yeah.
Because that's true. So if Kyron goes down, maybe he's next up.
Yeah, probably. And he was the back from Michigan. Won the national championship, was under Harbaugh, and I think it was second round pick or something. Yeah, I think he'll be a good starter when he gets the chance there. But
Cooper Kupp could play week 7.
Ooh, so that's next week, huh? Who's he playing again? Let's see. Next week, Kevin is playing
Vegas Raiders. And who else is on there? So what that also means that
Tyler and Kevin next week.
All these other guys might not get the distribution that they have classically had. I don't know when Puka Nacua comes back, because that could also eat into, Kupp's play as well. But so, yeah, I mean, props to Kevin. I don't know his plan here with the defense, if this is always that's a decent
yeah. I mean, Jets have been considered one of the top defenses, but they just haven't been winning really, right? So it's do you want to stick with that, and then they fired their coach?
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, when he scores 145 or 150, whatever it did, you don't really necessarily need to make any changes the next week, So
I think it's a balance. And Christian Kirk, he's been doing really well. So yeah, this is a team that I think could be very disturbing for a lot of us in playoffs. He's definitely got a shot at goal. So
man, if he's gonna start beating us in playoffs, we got to start hearing from you, Kevin.
Well,
I can't be beaten by the silent reaper over here and just never hear this guy.
Well, they're coming up. I mean, we've kind of been making the rounds. I want to hear from Kevin and Traco on the pod. And,
we'll have to get them in here. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to yours. Let's jump to your.
Okay. So
McGinnis Brothers showdown.
This was tough. Obviously, can't do much. 150 is a really good score. So, and this week a lot of people scored well. I mean, how many we had? 150. Kevin had 151. Josh had 160. So 138 typically is on the high end, but this week there's 3 people ahead of me, 4 people ahead of me. So I'll take the loss. Lamar Jackson, Brees Hall did pretty well. James Conner, obviously. I'm not sure what was going on here. I think the injury, did they have to pull him? Because
they were behind. They were down like 21-0.
So
they
they're just putting the ball in the air.
Yeah, they stopped running it.
CeeDee Lamb, nothing. It's just middle of the road performance. Drake London, he's been doing well.
That's actually a topic. CeeDee Lamb with the Cowboys, man. It's like, that Cowboys look awful. Like I know. They could totally just dysfunction and just fall apart like midseason, fire the coach, and it could just be like a sell-off, like you never,
Well, they just got completely blown out. Wait, what did it say? It's
they got blown out
in this season.
And they don't really look close either. It's not like they look close to the top teams. So it's like, I could see them by the trade deadline, maybe shopping some people.
Those are some expensive folks on the team, though. I don't know. Like CeeDee Lamb just renegotiated a massive contract. Dak, I think, has a massive. They gave him the money.
Yeah, they gave him so they'd probably have to sell off some of their other, pieces that they haven't committed money to yet or something. But I don't know. It's just an interesting topic.
I'm starting to fill in the gaps on my team. I feel like this is kind of the squad that's going to take me forward. Obviously, Moody got hurt, so I swapped out Myers. Would have liked to have Josh's kicker, but it got someone decent. But
what about tight end? You're kind of in tight end hell. Like you've just been cycling guys in and out of that spot. And like none of them have really performed.
I know.
Like,
but I've got the best crew so far. So Komet and Freiermuth. Like I think those guys are capable of.
Russell Wilson's going to be throwing to him now. This weekend at least.
Right? Maybe he starts checking down to Freiermuth. Their offense traditionally has just been terrible for fantasy. In the 3 years I've played fantasy, I don't know that I've had an athlete from Pittsburgh.
Steelers. I had Najee Harris was kind of the big one, but it's like because they had Pickens right for 2 seasons, and before that,
are you gonna keep Prescott there?
Dak is kind of I don't know.
I'd fail. There's no reason to keep him, honestly.
He just came out exceptional late last season, I think it was, and I had picked him up, and kind of, I don't know.
If they're playing like a bottom dweller team, then you could start them. But like, dude, if they play a top 10 team,
the number one
they're gonna lose.
Right now.
Yeah,
I know, but Lamar uses his legs a lot, and I just have seen too many horror stories where guys like, their QB goes down, and now they're fishing for like a 14-point QB, and that. Honestly, right now,
and your backup just scored 5 points.
I know.
He could still be. You could drop him there, and he might still be there by the time you start looking for a quarterback again. Like
sounds like you guys are trying to get some waiver pickups here.
Drop him.
I'm not married to it.
Neighbors was out this week, so you were excited about that going into this, right, Darin?
Yeah. So exactly. So Neighbors was out the last couple weeks, and I don't know, Wandell, he's not like ranked exceptionally high, but these are great scores for a flex position. Like I will take that all day, like
the only thing with the Giants is just their quarterback situation. Like, it's just that's a trust, is that something he only has 10 points. But I mean, man, when you look at it with Ian, if you would have swapped Mike Evans for who's this Lazard, man, he would have blown you out of the water. He would have been the top scorer. He would have been the highest score.
And Ian did that without Neighbors.
Yeah.
Neighbors has been 20 plus points the majority. So it was kind of like a trade-off. Like Ian, I don't care much. He picked up Judy. I dropped him a while back. Like the Browns receivers aren't doing anything. I can't even start him.
No, I would not start honestly any Browns offensive players at this point.
They just traded Amari Cooper.
Yeah, they traded him to the Bills yesterday.
He'll drop his players and then pick up his own players back like the next week.
Exactly. I bid $50 on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, did you just have that guy or what?
I think he gets in his head. He's like scrambling. It's like you get updates at like 3:40 in the morning.
No, it's like 6 in the morning. He's doing all his transactions at 6 in the morning.
And on the West Coast, it's like, dude, this guy's in the middle of the night.
How much money you just have left?
1 week I stayed up till midnight just so I could operate, like be the first to kind of pick up all the post waiver activity, but it wasn't that meaningful. That's one advantage to West Coast. But
Ian's got $81. Yeah, so he isn't.
Baker Mayfield, exceptional pickup. Nobody expected this, and he's been producing fantastic.
Barkley didn't do
you got to give Ian props on that because he didn't draft a quarterback pretty much the whole time. Picked up Kyler, and then when Kyler wasn't working, just pivoted to Baker, and it kind of shows you maybe you don't need to necessarily draft a quarterback, right? If you're not going to get one of the top 2, 3, 4 guys or whatever, right?
It depends on the year because I've seen some years where it's like, Johnny, who's your QB? Who did you pick up?
Well, I had Josh Allen, and he did good the first 3 weeks, but then recently, not as great.
Well, I remember seeing him go off for like a year, like an entire year, like 2 years ago or something, just like consistently high 20s, low 30s. But I mean, Ian Zay Flowers, that's I don't know what the uptick is about over there. But so Ian was a guy that was like he was contending for the top and suffered a couple losses.
Yeah, he slid back.
Yeah, so week 3 and 4 he lost, but outside of week 3 and 4 he's just been winning, and I think everybody just he slipped everybody's mind because he went 2-2.
Yeah.
And now he's beating he beat Josh. Obviously Josh Josh put up like 130 points against him, and so I mean maybe
his team looks pretty favorable. I would say honestly everybody has hope and is in it at the moment, except for Nick if he doesn't win this week, right? If Nick kind of goes 0-6, it's like or he's already 0-6, right?
Unless he just goes juggernaut on us and destroys everyone.
Yeah.
But
so if he goes 0-7, then the best he could do would be 7-7, and it's like unlikely he'll win out. But if he can win this week, then
he has a tough schedule coming up, so we'll see.
But all right, you want to go into the look ahead real quick? We can try to jet through.
Yeah. Let's start from the bottom up, and then we'll just kind of let's just hear like who you guys think is going to take it and why. And obviously we've got. I mean, you guys are literally within tens.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta look a little bit more at my roster and kind of read into some of these, the reports that they've got for the different players, and and maybe take a look at the matchups closer because this is where I don't have a single player on bye this week, so that's gonna make it tough for me, because I've everyone on my team is like a solid starter, but it's just what's the best combination, right? So.
But you keep on your bench there, Johnny?
Yeah. Well, I got to. So he played good this last week. But if you look like the prior week, he wasn't that hot. Yeah.
Who was that?
So Tank Dell. And then like Sutton's been coming on recently, and he's kind of been like the number one option for the rookie quarterback, but even then he's not getting like 20 plus points typically. It's maybe it's still in the teens, but so I don't know. And then I'm definitely light on tight end. Like I pretty much kind of have to go with Kincaid every week. The weeks that I did start Cement from the Bears, he didn't perform for me. So I dropped his ass. Yeah.
tight end's been a struggle this year, especially, but everybody's kind of in the same boat for the most part. I mean,
except for Josh over there, who's got Bowers and been like carrying. He's like the number one tight end, Yeah. But well, I would go with myself just because I think I'm due for a rebound, right? I've lost the last 3 in a row, and I'm gonna dive into the reports a little bit more. But yeah, I think I'll come out with a scratch out a win this week.
Yeah, I think you'll win too, Johnny. Especially if the Vikings do well with your 2 receivers back from bye,
Right.
And Williams back.
And they're playing the Lions, which, they just lost Aiden Hutchinson. And, typically those games between those two are pretty high scoring between those two teams, So.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. I think this is going to be pretty meaningful for Traco, at least. Kind of like this is the moment where he either breaks 500 for the positive and really starts to assert himself in the top third of the pack. And for you, Johnny, too, I mean, to suffer, what would that be, like a third loss in a row?
Fourth in a row.
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty critical game. I mean, if I just had to call it, I would probably give it to you, but really this is, Amon Ra could go off. You've got Jefferson. What's going on with that? Is he, he's playing this week against
Yeah, they
Detroit.
had to bye last week, but no, he's been above 15 points every week. He's had a touchdown every single game.
Yeah.
So he's solid, yeah. So and then Addison, hopefully he goes off as well. But
this is interesting. He's on the bench right now. I don't know. He's been doing pretty well. But he's kind of inconsistent. And then Rashid, is he out? What happened? Surgery. So Rashid's out.
Yeah, he's got.
You might even just replace him maybe potentially or
Yeah.
Olave's gonna be out too. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
So I mean, it seems like he's not playing with a full roster this week. I give it to Johnny, but it could go either way, and I think it's pretty meaningful who wins this game. Okay, Nick and Philip, do you even really wonder, or is Nick bringing a new squad and it's going to be different this week?
Wow.
I think with Philip starting Mark Andrews, it's like we can expect some, if I dumped him and he's all of a sudden consistently producing,
he's gonna go up for 2 tutties this weekend, and you're gonna be like, oh my god.
Yeah, likely and Andrews both be scoring.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, he benched Mason. It looks like, right, because maybe he's anticipating that he won't play. And that's what I'm seeing at least. It says he benched Mason and. I mean, Phil's projected to win at this one by already 30 points, something like that. So man, I just feel bad kind of for Nick at this point, but
I don't know.
Devontae could go off, Kelsey's playing the Niners. That's like the Chiefs are playing the Niners. That's the Super Bowl rematch. Maybe he scores, and then Nick has Pickens, which he was the one that was kind of complaining a little bit about them not throwing the ball down the field and stuff like that, right? With Justin Fields.
A lot of changes. Yeah.
So Russell Wilson's going to play this week. Like maybe Pickens has a big game, 2 touchdowns or whatever or something, right? That could happen.
Adams on a new team, Pickens, a new QB.
Yeah, that
for
is
some
pretty
reason
wild.
I want to give it to Nick. For some reason,
Nick's back's against the wall. Man, he'll have to decide whether to start Jordan Love or Darnold. That's going to be like a tough decision, because that could make or break it. Because Darnold's been playing super well, except for that last game, and then Love has been, I would probably go with Jordan Love just because
I would. I would.
He's been on a better role. It feels like, and he was really good this last game. I don't know, but what if you make the wrong call there and then you lose, but.
So Nick, I don't know. Nick's got a lot of potential this week. I don't want to do Phil dirty because Phil, we were kind of gunning for him being the top guy. So I don't want to be biased. I mean, logic says Phil wins, but there's a little bit of an underdog story developing here. So
it's the back's against the wall. I think Nick will find a way. I say we go with Nick.
What about you, Josh?
I'm going with Phil. I don't think Nick has a chance.
I'm
sorry.
Oh man.
Okay. All right. We've got Tyler versus Kevin. Tyler, he must not have a full roster, 100 points.
He doesn't have a kicker in there. It looks like, so he's got to pick one up. But
he's on a bye week.
Tyler, you want your credit, man. You got to win. Got to win this week. Show us that above 500 record for the first time this season.
That would be wild. I mean, if he pulls that off, it's a different category. Like he's top 3rd team now. It's not like a middle of the pack, bottom of the pack. But Kevin, I mean, if Cooper Kupp is back this week, it's like I wouldn't want to be facing him right now.
Swift is on a bye.
Yeah, if Cooper Kupp comes back, he probably swaps out Christian Kirk and keeps everybody else or whatever, right? But and then his team should be pretty formidable. Although, I mean, he did kind of overscore Kevin this last week a little bit, so like maybe maybe it would make sense that he might his score might be a little underwhelming or whatever, right? Since he kind of like overachieved a little bit this last week. But I don't know. I think this one's gonna be close. I think.
Well, Kevin's
I don't know.
won 4 straight games, so he's on a tear right now.
Yeah.
And he's been, I would say it's, he's been ranging some distance outside of week 3, but yeah, it was like 148, 129, 151. So in order for Tyler to win this week, he probably wants to be in the 140 category, which if we're looking at kind of historicals here and how he's been producing, he had week 3 at 166, but otherwise it's like 104, 108, or 166, 99, 120, 130. So maybe strength of schedule or kind of like how people are performing when they play him. I don't want to, rupture any emotions, any backlash from Tyler in the chat after this. So I want to give him.
I would go on this one. I would go with. I'd probably go with Kevin just because I think Tyler's running back room's a little weak, right? He's got like he just picked up Algier and he's going to start him, and then Mostert,
Well, yeah, I mean,
their offense hasn't been. I don't think Tua's not back, right? So the Dolphins' offense has been like awful since Tua came out.
Hit and miss, and then now dealing with an injury.
So yeah, I would probably give Kevin the edge there, but
yeah, Tyler, I love you, man, but I mean, logic I think goes with Kevin, and then it could be interesting though. I think
it could be close though,
Yeah.
But if Derrick Henry puts up 30 points, I think he's got it though,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like to beat Kevin, I think you need to get up the 130 range to kind of like above 130, and we just haven't seen Tyler be able to do that consistently. He seems to be ramping in the right direction, so I think this week says a lot, kind of moving forward. And Kevin, I think is going to become like a real annoyance to everybody in the league once Cup's back. He's going to be in the 140 range, I think, pretty consistently.
Let's do Ian and Austin.
So is Austin still grounded? That's the question, Darin.
The commissioner will make a call to his parental unit and make sure that he has access to his roster because
I'm surprised he didn't just go use his girlfriend's phone to set his roster.
Oh, he's probably on. He's got the ankle bracelet on.
Yeah, he might be on house arrest. I don't
know. High school, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good matchup, though. What are your thoughts? I mean, who's taking this one?
I don't know. Ian seems pretty strong lately.
Ian seems like he's on a roll. I think Austin still got the quarterback issue, right? He's like Richardson or Geno Smith, and neither of those guys are really, putting up good numbers. Etienne, so he's questionable, and he hasn't. Yeah, his last start he only had 2 points. So, I guess I've bagged on his team quite a bit. Maybe this will be the week that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, I mean looked like he's back this week, and I mean Jamar Chase, that's tough because that's like a really high draft pick. He did it last year too, and the guy's just so up and down. When he goes off, it's he's dominant. But so if you had to call it, obviously Harrison's out, so he needs to swap that out. I think his flex is not bad. This is probably a weak point. His number 2 receiver, and then kind of like middle of the road.
I think if Ian's team has like an average week, he could have a chance, but Ian's been putting up some good points though.
Yeah,
you think Ian goes off this week?
Yeah, I mean, he's got.
I think he'll be right up there. 130.
This could be a shootout with Baltimore. Like. Mike Evans tends to go off when they put the ball in the air, and he gets.
It's a Monday night game too.
Yeah, that's Monday night.
And it's gonna be It's gonna be a shootout versus Baltimore. So
he's got multiple. He's got a bunch of people in that game. He's got two. What has he got? Yeah, he's got 2 Bucks and Buccaneers, 2 Ravens, something like that, right? 1 Raven.
Yeah, I mean, Zay
Yeah.
Flowers and Evans could both produce really high, and Bijan Robinson, I'm surprised he has him in the flex position, but it's I guess that makes sense based on those scores. But okay, so if we're calling, who you got, Johnny and Josh?
I got Ian.
Yeah, I think we're going with Ian because just not seeing where the points are coming from.
Especially if I don't know if Austin's still grounded or not. I mean, that's
right. Very true. That's a key piece of intel right there.
Yeah, I would say Ian on this, but Austin, I think is kind of like one of those any given Sunday teams that could, I don't know, A-Chain back in the mix. Jamar Chase has the ability to go off. I don't know who he's swapping for Harrison.
He's got a lot of questionable people though too.
Probably Michael. It'd be Pittman down there probably.
Okay. Yeah, Dunze just hasn't really amounted to much.
I think Richardson's back this week. I think they're benching Bill Flacco, huh?
After the first week, I said, Austin's banking on way too many rookies and too many unknowns. Like he had too many rookies on the team. Richardson as the starting quarterback. I'm like, that guy hasn't even played a full season.
Well, I think Harrison or Neighbors, doesn't Neighbors come back this week?
Maybe
Neighbors might
possibly
be back in the mix.
Limited
Wednesday.
Let's get to the last game though. I'm past my time limit here. I gotta go.
Well, so
it's gonna be it's gonna be you and Josh, the two people on the call here.
Boy.
Let's go. All right.
The big one.
Let's see. This is right now. Darin's slated to. Are you gonna make any roster moves there, Josh? Because Darin's slated to win by 15 at the moment. Is the projection?
No, it's.
Are you changing?
I think it's only a 7-point spread here.
That's a mine.
A little less.
Mine's okay. Maybe I'm out of date.
Gosh, I hate to bench Tyreek Hill because he was my #1 draft pick, but
wow, you're considering that?
Really? Huh?
Been good, man.
Well, man, but yeah, the Dolphins QB situation is awful, and their offense is just terrible. Yeah, it's putrid. I wouldn't really want any Dolphins players. Honestly.
That's like a lose-lose. You start him and he underperforms, it's terrible. You bench him and he goes off, it's terrible. He
is their #1 option, so it's like if they're gonna throw it to anybody, right? Probably would throw it his way, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's the one game he returned a punt or something like that, but I don't get any points for that. A punt return. So
what? Yeah. You didn't get any for the touchdown? For
I don't think so.
What?
Yeah,
was it a punt return he had or something like that?
Oh, well, 26 points. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe there was a flag, I forget, but yeah, I mean, Darin, you got the Cowboys on bye,
which I don't really have. Oh, CeeDee Lamb, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb. You gonna put Cooper in there with his new team, with playing for Buffalo?
Oh, yeah, that's something I haven't really looked at it. Cooper Kupp, man, Amari Cooper is just he's been so inconsistent.
Well, he was on the Browns though. He was, Deshaun Watson was his quarterback.
It really
it's gonna be a lot different.
If Malik's coming back this week, that may change some things for me. But even with Malik, it still frees up Wan'Dale. So that he's been kind of my swap in out guy. And then I went light on the receivers because I had good running backs. I mean, Brian Robinson.
Yeah, he's been
a
good
great flex for me. And then James Conner, he's been a really solid flex outside of this week.
Yeah, he gets the ball a lot when they play, but I mean, yeah, you don't really have many options for flexing in and out really.
Christian
so that's probably
Watson,
your
somebody
lineup
that I might consider. That's somebody that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he did have 2 games with 0 points this year.
Yeah,
it looks like. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a gamble.
My strategy this week, I think, is let the guys play, and then the guys that are kind of questionable slots, I probably will go with consistency, and then just hope my ballers get their points.
Yeah, I think if I had to call it, I probably, I'm going to go with probably you, Darin, just because that's the way the system's seeing it right now.
Yeah, it is, Johnny. I see.
But Josh, I think I'll be rooting for you because I like to see Darin lose.
I think one of us is going to score well. I think one of us will get 150, the other one will get 120 or something like that.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you're playing Carolina Panthers. I don't know. Maybe you go up early and then just start running the ball. So
Yeah,
Jaden
Jaden Daniels.
Daniels.
Right, and then
Big-
that would help Darin because he's got the
Yeah.
Washington running back,
Bigsby in your number one spot. What's up with this? I mean, this is like,
Well, man, ETN, he's been terrible, and so
You could put
Wow.
Najee Harris in that number one spot, and then put Bigsby.
the Jaguars are just so terrible. It's like,
Dude, I
Yeah.
know that is a big surprise. Like how, I mean, everyone thinks that the coach is going to get fired. Like one more loss, or a lot of people thought he was going to get fired this week. When they lost, but yeah, they are not good. And yeah, Trevor Lawrence, like him getting all that money, and like
Yeah.
I know, I sometimes the league's getting a little ridiculous sometimes. Like how they'll
the way that
You
they
know.
give the QBs all the money and then the running backs get like nothing.
Well, and then none of these top paid QBs are really like performing, except for, I mean, Joe Burrow's numbers are good, but the team is not. And then
Maybe
Jalen Hurts is winning, but like his performance hasn't really been that as like in terms of like they haven't been blowing teams out and like been winning convincingly and stuff like that. I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of money being spent, and the guys, like the teams right now that are tearing it up, like aren't paying their quarterbacks much, right? The Vikings, the Bills signed their guy 2 years ago or something like that, right? So they're paying less than the other people are. Detroit and Goff, has a decent contract, but not like an upper echelon contract, I think, right? So yeah, I don't know. It just seems interesting. But,
So I mean, yeah, the QBs are taking like, I just looked it up, around like 15 to 20% of the entire team's cap.
yeah,
I mean, one player
Pretty
gives
wild.
up a fifth of the entire, how many people are you rostering? Like 53?
plus your practice squad guys, yeah, exactly. 53 plus another 10 or something like that, right? That you're paying. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost feels like more than that. It just, but yeah, I mean, he's beating Bowers. I could see him obviously taking it at tight end. I think, I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
pretty fairly matched up. I think Brees Hall, it really depends. Sometimes he takes off. Yeah, I got to figure out kind of the situation with my receivers. I don't really have the depth without, it's different. If I had CeeDee Lamb in there, it's like, hey, Josh, I'm taking this. But with that, I think it like leaves.
the buys mix things up, it makes it
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it fun. Yeah.
And it's never guaranteed. I mean, Josh is 3-3, and I'm only one win ahead of them.
Yeah.
And
Could go either way this one, but I'm gonna take it. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm gonna take it because I need this win to kind of maintain my status.
Oh, you can sacrifice a win and still be fine.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
top four,
Yeah.
4-2, man. Anybody could take this.
yeah.
But
There's four and
if
two
you and
teams.
Ian both lose, and then like Cooper, and then Phil wins again, right? Then he's he'll have 2-game lead on everybody.
The crazy part about this though
Yeah.
is 6 games from now, this could be totally inverted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Could be. Yeah.
there's only from the 9th person in the league to the 1st, there's only 2-game difference, 2-win difference.
Yeah.
And Austin is not, a total flop. Like Austin could win any week, really.
Yeah.
Minus maybe a couple teams that are just consistently producing higher. So I think this shows that we've got a strong league, and it makes it nice because everybody's still in the race. But this right here, I've had the most points scored against me
Oh, dang. Okay.
by far. I mean,
Didn't that happen
in
last
Austin.
season too?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, same thing last season. Everyone's got it out for the commish, man.
I
Everyone
know.
plays the best against the commissioner.
Yeah.
I
nobody-
know. But
nobody
look,
wants to get steamrolled by
Austin's
Deer.
Austin's another team that
Right.
has really, he's gotten a lot of points against them. So that also shows. I'm curious how much Tyler.
Tyler, 664.
664.
The weakest schedule.
The favor of the Lord is on him, apparently. No one's scoring points against him, and
That's
he's
pretty
getting
wild.
these
He's
wins.
still getting it. Yeah. Dang.
But yeah,
Yeah, it'll be good to see how it goes. All right. I'm
but
getting
hey,
the text
I will.
message here. I gotta.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll let you guys go. I know everybody's got to get back to it, but
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
it's
having you,
awesome
Josh.
having you, Josh. And everybody wants to know, being out in Florida after Milton came through, how are you doing? Well,
Yeah.
We're fine. Yeah, we're fine. There was a tornado that hit close by. I sent you guys all those pictures, so it's been pretty crazy.
A tornado.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a client who has a whole bunch of rental properties, and they lost 2 roofs on 2 of their properties. One of them, a tornado knocked over a telephone pole and electrical pole, and it hit an electrical box, went through the roof, and landed on the bed of the tenant. And she was in bed, and she wasn't hurt at all. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Just like landed right next to her, essentially. Like,
yeah, I guess like it just happened to hit the other side of the bed or something like that. It was like right where she was sleeping.
So is the coast like going to be insurable at this point? I mean, they were talking it could be like 10% of the mortgage each year or something, or 10% of the home cost. Something.
Yeah, the insurance is getting harder and harder here. More people are dropping their wind coverage, so they're kind of going without wind.
Okay, right. So they still cover you for theft and like other
fire and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a separate flood policy, so a lot of people don't get flood policies, but they should, because it could flood anywhere here any day. So
that's great. Yeah.
Well,
but yeah, if you're on the water, it's like so hard to get insurance, especially if an older house.
Right. That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad your place was untouched and all went well. All right, I gotta run, guys.
All right, Johnny.
Past time. All right,
guys.
I'll
release this sometime tonight. See you guys.
To the game now. Darin and Johnny here. Wow. Talking NFL, no doubt. Breakdowns and the standout. Big plays and the touchdowns. Huddled in the background. Each week we break it down. Our podcast is the town. Game day recap on the run. Darin, Johnny having fun. Tune in for the highlights, son. First down hit and we're done. From the field to the show. Touchdowns catching fire, yo. Every week we let it flow. Darin, Johnny's voice, with the stats and the plays. Sundays like a maze. Analysis amaze. NFL these new days. Yeah. Game day recap on the run. Darin, Johnny having fun. Tune in for the highlights, son. First down hit and we're done.